Third video of system thinking, mental model. In this video, we are going to talk about review what is system and system thinking, personal mastery, what is mental model, characteristic of mental model, ladder of inference. What is system? System is a group of interacting, interrelated, or interdependent components that form a complex and unified whole. We are as a human is also a system. System thinking is a process of understanding how things influence one another within a whole. Like understanding the process that results in rain, system thinking is about observing a whole system instead of focusing on complex individual issues. The idea is that there are no clear problems that stay in a limited area or time. We have to understand the correlation between action and consequences, and that they can occur in different time spans. One have to be curious about understanding the relation between companies. Example, the companies and the supplier, an interaction between different departments in an organization. The error that we usually do is to focus on individual action. By consequence, we lose the sense of seeing the big picture. Personal mastery is about learning to expand our personal capacity to create the result we most desire, and creating an organizational environment which encourages all its members to develop themselves toward the goal that they choose and purposes they discover. Personal mastery is when an individual has a clear vision of a goal combined with an accurate perception of reality. The gap between the vision and reality sets up a creative tension that energizes the individual. In practicing personal mastery, the individual acquires the necessary capacities and creates whatever methods and rules are necessary to realize the vision. A key element in achieving personal mastery is to train and utilize the power of subconscious. Our subconscious mind can handle far more complex problems and more quickly than what our consciousness can. Mental model is about reflecting upon, continually clarifying and improving our internal pictures of the world and seeing how they shape our action and decision. It is an explanation of a person's thoughts process of how something works in the real world. In other words, it represents human emotion, feelings, perception, and other psychological processes that surface externally. Let me explain this with the help of an example. We know that exactly how a telephone looks and functions. It will typically have button to punch in a phone number and receiver to communicate. We know how exactly this telephone would function, right? You pick up the receiver, wait for a dial tone, punch in the number, wait for a ringtone, and you are connected. What if the button or the receiver doesn't function as it's supposed to? What if there is no dial tone? This is when our mental model is disrupted, which would leave us confused and frustrated. Mental model is a person's perception of reality and how they understand a particular concept. People constantly form mental models of themselves, of any, and of things they are interacting with. These models help people understand certain phenomena. This is a few examples. Jack firmly believes that there are monsters under his bed. I believe that dogs are rational and will not attack unless provoked or threatened. Cindy shakes another person's hand as a form of greeting. Natalie believes that all snakes are poisonous. Most drivers understand the red means stop and green means go. These beliefs are based on each person's mental model of a particular concept. This perception needs not be accurate. People form incorrect assumption or wrong association between concepts, but this is still a reality for them. They will continue to believe this till they experience otherwise. Mental model shapes our behavior. It is also believed that mental models play a crucial role in decision making and our thought processes. The three aspects of mental models. First, system models. A system model is a designer's perception and relationship with the system. These are the two interactive components of a design processes. Let's us consider the example of the telephone. The way in which the designer engineers the telephone is the system model. He or she designed the phone according to his or her knowledge and experience in the domain. Therefore, the product is designed in relation to the designer's experience. Second one is system image. In order to understand the relationship between a designer and a system, we have to understand the system. A system image reflects on the system and how it works and does not consider the designer. Taking the previous example, the telephone by itself is the system. The system image indicates how the telephone functions, its features, and how the users interact with the system. It is image that the user sees, the interface, the behavior, and documentation. It is important to remember that the user acquires all knowledge of the system through the system image. The third one is user's model. A user model, on the other hand, deals with user perception and relationship with the system. Using the example of telephone, a user model is the relationship between the user and the telephone. The user has certain theories about how the telephone ought to function. The way in which the user makes use of the telephone and how effectively it can be used determines the user's mental model. If the user is able to efficiently use the telephone, it indicates that the system model matches with the user's mental model. Mental models are extremely dynamic as it constantly changes based on the experience we encounter. It constantly evolves based on the person's interaction with the environment and their perception of what is happening around them. It consists of oversimplified explanation of complex phenomena. Mental models are used in usability to understand the user's perception. It plays a crucial role in design, such as of that mobiles, doors, music, decks, and so on. For example, a company had to design a training program on grooming skills and personality development for the employees. The employees were given new uniforms, and we had to teach them how to wear it appropriately. During our learner analysis, we realized that the employees were not too happy about wearing the uniform. Most said the uniform reminded them of schools. This precious information helped us to understand the importance of wearing uniform in the first place. Our instructional design strategy aimed to make them view uniforms as aiding their professional image and instill pride in the company brand. The idea was to make them view themselves as professional sales executive rather than just salespeople. This approach really helped us change their mind about the uniforms. The issue of mental models is like why the best ideas fail, conflict with deeply held internal images, how the world works. Mental models determine how we take action, and mental models are so powerful because they affect what we see. Some of the characteristics of mental models are they are incomplete and constantly evolving. They are usually not accurate representation of a phenomenon. They typically contain errors and contradictions. They are parsimonious and provide simplified explanation of complex phenomena. They often contain measures of uncertainty about their validity that allow them to use even incorrect. They can be represented by sets of condition action rules. Single learning. The diagrams show how decision-making rules are governed by mental model. The person receives backs in terms of consequence for decision made in real world. This is called single loop learning. The second diagram shows how the information feedback influences our existing mental model. Therefore, our mental model continuously changes based on the feedback we receive. This in turn influences our decision making. The ladder of inference. The first one, observable data and experience, as I might capture it. I select data from what I observe, and then I add meanings, cultural and personally. I make assumption based on the meaning I added. I draw conclusion, I adopt beliefs about the world, and finally, I take action based on my belief. This is the steps of forming mental models. Two types of skills required in mental models are reflection and inquiry. Reflection is slowing down our thinking processes, become more aware of how we form our mental models, where inquiry, holding conversation where we openly share view and develop knowledge about each other's assumption. So we need, when we talk to our dad, we need to, for example, we need to ask for his opinion on or his what he's thinking before we make an assumption. Otherwise, we will make the wrong assumption.